Y'all already know what it is. Jay Williams, Let's Live Life, and we're back. Do they send kids, teenagers, younger people to prison? Hell yeah, they do. Let's relive it. Before we get started, I know I need to shave. I got a mirror at my house. I got several bathrooms. I see it. I'm gonna tighten up tonight. But I wanted to do this video. Somebody had mentioned it, and I thought about it. And I said, I think this is a video I need to do. More or less, this is for the younger guys, man. The guys that watch that, you know, maybe headed down the wrong path, out there ripping and running, thinking everything's sweet. Let me tell you something. Everything is not sweet. There comes a time when they will stop playing with you and they will send you to big boy jail. You will bypass the detention center. You won't see any of that. You might in the beginning, but once you're sentenced, they're going to send you. I'd never been locked up as an adult with juveniles. When I was up Greensville, they used to do this thing every now and then where they would walk teenagers through that, you know, had been in trouble, kind of like scared straight, except they didn't let us out our cells. They would walk them by our cells, walk them through the pod, bottom tier and top tier, and we'd be going in on these little dudes, man. Screaming some of the most craziest shit you could think about, more or less trying to scare them. We didn't really want to do anything to them. They were in no danger, but we wanted to scare them, and the guards were with it. Under normal circumstances, we'd have been screaming something like that out the door. You know, there'd have been problems, but the guards were with it. That's what they wanted us to do. They wanted us to scare these dudes, which they should be. You roll around in 2012, the end of 2012, they tell me pack my stuff up, I'm being shipped. Blows my mind. I'm not in for a transfer. In for a transfer means your level has dropped and you've gone to the guards, and well, you went to the counselors, and the counselors put you in to transfer you to a lower facility. My custody level hadn't dropped. Hadn't anything happened. They just needed to ship me to this other institution because this place had this big program, and I was within 2 years of going home, so you have to go to what's called re-entry. Everybody in Virginia in prison has to go through a re-entry program. It's supposed to get you more accustomed with what's going to happen when you get out, tries to get you back to being somewhat normal, help you deal with what you've been through while you've been locked up. They shipped me to Indian Creek. And I knew this place was full of shit as soon as I got there, because we did this thing called orientation where everybody sits in chairs. You all start off in the same building and they talk to you. And one of the first things they said is, this one guy raised his hand and he was like this dude didn't belong there either. This guy should have been like a low custody level. And he was like, so nobody here's got violent charges or nothing? And they were like, no sir. Immediately my hand went up. Another dude named Fro, my homeboy Fro, his hand went up. And she was like, yes. I was like, I'm not supposed to be here. She was like, what do you mean you're not supposed to be here? I said, I got robbery and malicious wounding charges. Like, I'm not, you know, your run-of-the-mill white-collar criminal. I'm not in here for check cashing or stealing. Like, I've committed robbery, you know, and I hurt somebody. I'm not supposed to be here. Y'all need to get me up off here. Fro tells them, I ain't supposed to be here either, man. I've been locked up 21 years. He said, I shot somebody one night that tried to run off with some crack that I was selling. So she says, look, all right, I guess there are a couple guys here that have violent charges. For the most part, it's not violent guys. I found out real quick that was, that was a lie. This place was a joke. It was like a giant playground. I'd say halfway through the day, I started noticing as I looked around, there's a lot of young dudes here. And I don't mean young, I mean young. Like, this little dude ain't even got a mustache yet. I would get cool with a bunch of these dudes, man. I saw myself in a lot of them. And I would always try to be the big brother and mentor a lot of these guys. But one guy, there's a couple that stick out. One, the guy that particularly sticks out was a young Spanish guy named Chris. And I've told you in the past, you don't get involved in stuff. You mind your business. If it don't involve you, stay out of it. There are times that I'll get in the middle of something I don't belong in, if I feel like there's something that I can do to better this person's life. I can save this person from becoming me. The young dude, Chris, shows up, and the way the program works for these, what they're called YOs, youthful offenders, is they're sentenced to a certain amount of time. Some of these kids have 5 years, 7 years, and they can complete the program in as early as 2 and go home. Or they can flunk out the program, fail, and be sent to just regular prison to do the full remainder of their time. So if you got 7 years, you could possibly be out in 2 if you act right. I've seen guys get out in less, mess up, they'll put you in a hole, ship you to a big boy pen, and you'll finish off your sentence. Chris showed up around the same time I did. We were in the same building. He was real quiet. He didn't bother nobody. You could tell that dude was more of a follower than a leader. He was just looking to be accepted. So I'm just going about my bid. I got several dudes here at this prison that I've linked up with that I know from doing bids. Dude, Chris Richardson. This isn't the same Chris. This is another dude named Chris. And just different guys that I knew, right? I see Chris all of a sudden, man, this young dude is walking the track, and he went from just walking with himself all the time to now he's walking with the gang members. I already know what's going on. They're trying to recruit this dude because with these young guys, they'll bring them in and then send them on dummy missions. They'll send them out there to do things that they're not going to do and wind these dudes up either getting hurt or pulling more time. So for some reason, like on the third day I seen this, Chris was out there walking by himself, and I knew his name because I'd seen him in the building and stuff. So I just walked up on him. I was like, yo, Chris, come here, I'm gonna holler at you. So he stops in his tracks, turns around, kind of looks at me like, the fuck, man? I guess thinking, probably in his head, like, well, why is this con coming up to me? What's going on? I said, we need to talk, man. And he was like, what's up? I said, come on, let's just walk. So we start walking laps. I come to find out he really don't have anybody. He's got his mom, but she's not, it's a long drive from where they live to the prison, hours to come there. So he doesn't really get any visits. His mom, she's got a whole bunch of brothers and sisters she's got to take care of. So she really don't send no money. So I asked him, I said, what's up with you and the gang members, man? He was like, oh, those are my homeboys. I said, look, man, you're going to run yourself up on a snag. I'm just being real with you. I'm not saying they're out to get you or they're out to make you do anything bad or nothing like that. It's just not a good look. Like, do you not want to just do your minimum sentence and go home? So I guess I got him thinking. I said, look, we got wrecked tonight, man. What I want you to do, and it's no disrespect towards them dudes, man. I said, but just when we come out tonight, you're going to go with me, man. We're going to lift weights. I'm going to put some size on you, talk with you, build with you. And that's what I started doing with Chris. Chris didn't have food. If I made something to eat, I gap it with little Chris. When I went to lift weights, even if he was in the bed, I don't feel like getting up, I grabbed him by his feet. Get your little ass out the bed. Come on, let's go outside. Me and Chris got real close, man. Chris was a good kid. Chris is a good kid. He's a man now. I dealt with this dude the remainder of his time there, and Chris actually went home. I don't think it even took him 16 months to complete the program, and he was released. That's not a typical story. I felt good about seeing Chris go home. Kind of made me sad because I bonded with dude. Like I said, I saw myself in him. I kind of felt like I'd given something back by helping this guy, by helping this woman's child, by keeping the gangs off of him. And the gangs didn't do anything about it. You know what I mean? They were jumping, but they weren't jumping like they were at the last institution. There weren't stabbings all the time. There was assaults, fights, people getting jumped, hit with locks in the socks, stuff like that. But as far as like stabbings on a daily, that wasn't a thing up there. I remember the day he got his news, man. He came and told me, he said, hey, Jay, man, I just want to say thank you. I said, for what? You know what I mean? Like, for the soups earlier? He was like, nah, man, I'm getting released. I said, what? He was like, yeah, man, I completed the program. They let me out. He had 5 years to do for auto theft. He stole a bunch of cars of some other kids. I watched Chris go home. There were other dudes along the way, young mixed dude named DJ, that was in there for breaking into stores and doing a lot of vandalism. And I tried to talk to DJ, you know, I tried my best to like take him under my wing. But where they put his bunk, like where his bunk was situated, there was gang members on both sides, bloods on both sides. This is a young mixed dude. There was nothing I could do for DJ. I watched DJ go from being like this small, scared young dude to straight turned up, running with the gang members, making the most noise, you know, them banking people, jumping people. He ended up getting put in the hole and being shipped up off of there and having to do the remainder of his time, not only in prison, but in a higher level prison where shit, I'm sure, got real quick. You know, it's an eerie feeling when you're in the bathroom, and the way the bathroom is set up is it's a bunch of urinals, a bunch of toilets, and a bunch of sinks directly in front of you. It's like a 6-foot wall behind those sinks, and on the opposite side of that wall is just a big open shower. It's a crazy feeling when you're standing there shaving at the sink, and you got a young guy next to you who doesn't have to shave because he hasn't even gotten to the point in puberty yet to where he's growing a beard. That's crazy when you think about it. They're taking these kids and they're trying to give them a second chance at life. And I'm sure that them being placed in this program is much easier than being placed upstate or in some of these detention centers, because them places are just, they make monsters. They're gladiator schools. You're going to fight every day. You're going to fight for your food. You're going to fight for your shoes. You're going to fight just to fight. You know what I mean? You're going to get jumped repeatedly. You might get a one-on-one and then get jumped in the middle of it. There's really no win. So many of these young guys came through, man, that it started to they started to outnumber us. Like they had so many juveniles locked up at this place. You got to think, I'm in my 30s at the time. You got guys in there in their 40s, 50s, and 60s who ain't with all that rah-rah shit all day, somebody running around acting crazy. But that's exactly what was going on. The failure rate for these juveniles was phenomenal. Not many of them were completing the program. Not many of them were going home from there. The majority of them were getting up in there and linking up with the gang members. These dudes, they think they care about them, running themselves up on a snag, getting jammed up and getting shipped, only to never see any of these guys again. I got a homeboy to this day named Casey that, you know, I still talk to Casey, that I met when I was in Greensville, and Casey was young. He didn't really fit in, you know, was real big into the Euro style cars, blonde haired dude. And it was pretty much the same thing with Casey, man. I seen Casey would just sit out at the table. And Casey was over 18. He might have been 19 at the time. But he would just sit out at the table and look at these magazines by himself. His cellmate was this dude named L.A. And L.A. was a dickhead. Me and L.A. got along cool. He was the wine man. I made wine, so we had something in common. But him and Casey just never saw eye to eye. You know what I mean? I remember when I met Casey, he was sitting at the table with his magazines, and I just noticed that he didn't really talk to anybody. And I went and sat down at the table, and I was like, "What's up, man? I'm Jay." And he was like, "I'm Casey." I said, "What you doing? What you reading on?" So he told me. I looked at it. He asked me if I messed with cars. I said, "Yeah, I do the cars." We started building. I took Casey out. He started working out with me. Casey started getting swole quick, man. I didn't have a long run with Casey, maybe a year and a half, when I got shipped. I got out, checked on Casey. Casey got out. Casey ended up doing what a lot of these young dudes do, and he fell back into the trap. He ended up going back in for a year, cocaine possession with intent. He hadn't learned his lesson. Today, Casey's got a kid. You know, he works for a living, lives out in Hampton, and he's doing his thing. You know, what I want to get to y'all, I just wanted to share a couple guys like I always do in my stories. But the message I want to portray with this is, you may think that you can go out here and just do what you want to do, and that they're going to throw you in some kiddie camp. It's not necessarily the case. You might wake up one day and they say, "Hey, you're being shipped," and the next thing you know, you're in a penitentiary somewhere. Not everybody's going to have a J that's going to come along and look out for them. I've seen a lot of guys that didn't have a J come along and look out for them, and they had the worst come along and look out for them. I've seen a lot of these young guys get extorted, get their stuff taken, get slapped around by the same guys they thought were their friends. I've seen some of these guys catch more time, actually have to go back to jail, go back in front of the judge, and pick up extra time on the time they already have. This is a beautiful world on your worst day. It is. Any day that you wake up out here a free man, a free woman, free child is a good day. Regardless of what you got going on, it's gonna beat your best day locked up. Don't ever have to experience that. Don't ever have to be walking with a group of people through a penitentiary as grown men are reaching out the bars and trying to grab you or telling you what they'd do to you if they had you in a cell. Don't ever let there be a day where you wake up and your little brother or your little sister that looks up to you starts questioning where you are because you felt that it was okay to get out here and commit crimes. Don't leave your mother behind, your father behind. Stay in school. Don't listen to this music and take it for as if that shit's real. That shit's just music. I was easily influenced by music. I used to think that, you know, when I was bumping that DMX, that Pac, all that different stuff, man, at 50, that these dudes was really doing that stuff. But they're not. They might have, but they're not. If they were, they wouldn't be out here rapping. They'd be locked up in a prison somewhere. If they were doing the things they were saying, they'd be getting indicted for it. And you'd be seeing them walked off stage in handcuffs because music is a way of testifying. Be your best you, man. Listen to your parents. Listen to those that love you. Go on and be somebody in life. If your mom's poor, put yourself in a position where you can not only help her, but you can help yourself as well. And live your best life. Be there for the ones that are there for you. When these guys want to get you to do something, tell them no. It takes a stronger person to say no than it does to follow. A lot of people fall in line because that's all they know. Don't be that guy. Be that guy that says no. Be that guy that leads the other kids away from that. You do have a choice. I know sometimes in life it feels like where you live at or who you live around or what's going on in your life, you ain't got no choice. You have a choice. Just like you choose to do bad, you can choose to do good. Anyway, y'all know, man, it's just a crazy world. And these places I talk about are just crazier worlds inside this world. And as always, I'm just trying to keep y'all entertained. Are you not entertained? But y'all know what it is, man. This is Jay Williams to all my real ones. And there are some real ones watching. Because y'all still watching me. Y'all know how we do, man. Salute.